Bond. James Bond.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Did we just become best friends?
Yup! Sublime!
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Mostly I hate the way I don't hate you. Not even close. Not even a little bit. Not even at all.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Hi friends, and welcome to another episode of You Haven't Seen That, a movie discussion podcast where we introduce our friend Ben to movies he should have seen a long time ago. I'm your host Amanda.
I'm Geoff.
And I'm Ben.
And today we are talking about the Goonies. Stick around until the end. We'll be discussing the top 4 things that we enjoyed doing with our friends when we were kids/teenagers.
I don't think any of us will have anything as exciting as the adventures that go on in this movie, but we'll see.
Speak for yourself, Geoff.
The Goonies. Young teen Mikey Walsh and his friends set off on a quest to find pirate One-Eyed Willie's treasure in hopes of saving their homes from demolition. However, on their quest to find the treasure, they run into a family of recently escaped criminals, determined to capture the kids and reach the treasure first. Released in June of 1985, the number 1 song, Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears.
Great song.
That makes me think of Guardians of the Galaxy.
I knew it would.
And by that, I mean the ride for anyone who's listening. I don't think it's actually in the movies.
It's not, but that's okay. Larry King Live debuted on CNN. Michael Jordan won the NBA Rookie of the Year. And in famous birthdays around this time, we have Dave Franco, the not canceled Franco brother. We have pop star Lana Del Rey. And Michael Phelps, arguably the greatest Olympian of all time. The Goonies was directed by Richard Donner, with the screenplay by Chris Columbus and the original story thought of by Steven Spielberg. This movie stars Sean Astin, Josh Brolin, Corey Feldman, Kiwi Kwan, Cary Green, and Martha Plimpton, and Joe
Mini
Pantoliano.
versions of all of them.
Yes, exactly. With a $19 million budget, this movie grossed $65 million at the global box office. This movie opened number 2 behind Rambo First Blood Part 2, and it ended up finishing the year number 7 at the domestic box office, so a massive hit. This movie was scored fairly well with critics, 77% on Rotten Tomatoes, 62 on Metacritic. No awards recognition for this movie, but because of its cult classic status, it was selected for preservation by the Library of Congress, and it was confirmed in a February 2025 interview that a sequel is in the works.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, same. I'm like, well, because those have turned out so great, all of these legacy sequels.
So Ben, why don't you give us your history with this movie?
Yeah, I don't have too much of a history with this one. It's definitely one that I feel like is on the list of most annoyed by people my generation that I haven't seen this movie. Up there with some of the other ones that we've done for this podcast and a few that we haven't done yet. But this one seems to be one of the common, you haven't seen the Goonies? You know, inspired this podcast. It's one of the OG ones I feel like that we're finally getting around to. I will say, though, I really had no history with this movie at all until a couple months ago. And a couple months ago, I was chaperoning a band trip to Disney World. And on the way back, there were some DVDs on the bus that I didn't think the kids would want to watch because, like, I don't know, they all have their devices now and stuff, and I didn't think they'd care about putting a movie up on the little screens on the bus, but they did want to because it was a 24-hour bus ride almost, and they picked the Goonies. So our I did not watch it though because I knew we would probably do it for this podcast at some point. So I had my headphones in and I was reading or listening to some podcast or something. I don't know what I was doing, but I wasn't watching it, and so I would look up occasionally. So I did get a few, glimmers of it. Our bus driver, who could not obviously see the movie because it was playing on the screens behind him, must know it from memory because he was laughing loudly at various points throughout the movie.
That's funny.
So
Ben, appreciate you being honorable and not watching, knowing that we were planning something out for our podcast.
you know what, Jeff, I'm always here for the content.
Appreciate that.
All right, Jeff, what's your history?
I've seen the Goonies a few times growing up, but man, it has been years since I've seen this movie. I knew the big moments as we were watching it back, knew the cast naturally, and I know a bunch of the big lines. Weirdly enough, this movie has its hand in a lot of weirdly like pop punk music, which is just funny, from like song titles to band names to everything. So this movie has always just remained sticky in my brain as a result of it. But no, it's been years since I've seen the Goonies, so I was very, very excited to revisit it.
Nice. For me, I had never seen this movie either.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
I did not know that.
Yeah, no, and
Dang.
it doesn't make sense. I definitely feel like
Yeah.
it's one of those ones that, just like you, Ben, people are like, you haven't seen that? I don't know why. I guess no one in my house just really watched it. I feel like as we were watching it, I was like, maybe I'd seen like one or two scenes. So like maybe it was on one time and I, watched a few minutes here or there, but I knew a lot about this movie just because of culture. So I
Culture.
feel like not too much in this movie like surprised me. But Jeff, what's your rating?
So this one, I think, is heavily influenced by the nostalgia, but I had such a fun time watching this movie. I had a blast. I think that it's tough when you have this many kids in the movie to make it properly work. And it's funny looking at interviews with the director in the past, seeing him being like, yeah, it took a lot to rein in these kids when they were all together. But I think that it's really, really fun. I think the adventure element of this movie is great. I think the bad guys the Fratellis are also pretty good villains for a kids movie, just in terms of the right balance between menacing and doofuses at the same time. So had a blast with the Goonies. I'll give it a 4.
All right. What about you, Ben?
I'm very curious, Amanda, what your rating is going to be as someone who also didn't see it growing up. Because I get the sense that this movie is beloved for a lot of people because of what Jeff just said with the nostalgia. I think this is one that people our generation probably grew up watching on cable or on video. And I think even some a little bit older than us, some a little bit younger than us, I think probably it's kind of hit all those things for a long time. I get the whole watching things as a kid and that inflating your opinion of something. That happens to me too. I'm just as guilty. Otherwise, I don't think Air Bud would be one of my favorite movies. All that is to say, as someone who's seeing it for the first time at 39 years old, I didn't like it that much. I get it. I get all of why it's beloved and why it's become a cult classic. I get the nostalgia vibes people certainly have for it and the influence it's had on culture. My wife was asking me she was asking me what I thought of it after knowing I had watched it, and she of course has seen it. And I said I didn't really like it that much, and she's like, "Do you think you would have if you had watched it as a kid?" And I think I would have liked it more, but this is never. It's a combination of like not having the nostalgia for it, and also it's not my kind of movie. I'm not a big adventure, treasure hunting type guy, aside from National Treasure. Much love to that. Much love to National Treasure, but that kind of adventure, epic. It's not epic, but adventure comedy, adventure movie is not typically my vibe. So I get it. But this just really isn't a movie for me. I'm going to give it a 2.25.
Okay.
Sorry. Don't at me.
So for me, I agree with a lot of what you said, Ben.
I was like, who's she going to agree with?
Wanted to leave some suspense there. I do think if I had seen this when I was a kid, I would have liked it a lot more than how much I enjoyed it this time. That's not to say that I didn't enjoy it or that I thought it was bad. I had a fun enough time with it. And like you said, Ben, I can understand why people love this movie so much and why there's so much nostalgia for it. I think it's hard when you watch it as an adult to see it from the same lens that you would have as a kid. So I'm going to give it a 3.25.
So this movie was my pick, and I picked it actually for you, Ben, knowing how much you love National Treasure. And I was like, this is going to be one of our last big summer movies. It'll be like one last adventure before the school year begins. And I'm like, all right, this is in the National Treasure vein. I think Ben might like this. I don't know. And then it ends up being our second lowest rated movie of the season so far. Only ahead of Spider-Man.
I'm sorry. This is one of those things where it's like an impasse with people who love this movie because, I can't go back and watch it as a kid, and they can't see it for the first time as an adult.
Yeah.
So you can never come on the same page with people on this like argument about a movie like this, I feel like.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Totally get it. I'm not trying to diminish your opinion whatsoever. It just makes me sad. That's all.
We've lost the childlike wonder. We can't get it back.
Devastating.
I'm much too cynical, and
I will say though, National Treasure is a better movie. So don't worry, Ben.
Yeah,
I'm on your side.
That one's fun. I my wife also was calling me an old man because I was like, they're also just yelling a lot.
They don't talk in this movie. They just yell.
Shout. It's like, as a teacher, I'm like, stop.
I definitely noticed that. I was like, everyone is yelling. They're all yelling over each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I'm like, why can't any of them talk at a normal volume?
It's just like you on this recording.
I mean, when you get a bunch of teens together in a room, there's just going to be nothing but shouting.
Well, it's realistic. That doesn't mean I want to watch it.
Touche. Oh, man. It's funny watching all of these people in the movie, all of the kids in the movie have all grown up now to be like pretty decent movies outside of Chunk, pretty notable like figures in movies over the last like 30-40 years. It's so funny seeing us young Sean Astin, who goes on to be in a mega franchise, which we're going to be covering in a couple of weeks. Josh Brolin, who's got nominated for Academy Awards. Kiwi Kwan, who won an Academy Award. But he was already doing notable kid acting right around the time of this movie as well. So it's so funny to have this real nostalgia trip and seeing these actors young and realize like, oh wow, they carried it out and everything throughout their careers. So it's crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
Martha Plimpton too.
Martha Plimpton. I totally forgot to mention Martha Plimpton. Yeah. Exactly.
Who is she? Well, I know who she is in the movie. Who is she? What else has she done?
I mean, most recently she was in Task, but she was Emmy nominated for Raising Hope. I don't know. She's been in a bunch of stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't really know who was in this movie. I knew it was a bunch of kid boys. I didn't know really anything beyond that. So when the intro credits started rolling, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was that way too. I did not know either.
So that was fun. That's always fun when that happens.
I will say for me, and I don't know if this is like jumping in too much, but I thought of all the kids, the one who I liked the most / annoyed me the least was Kihei Kwan.
Data? Yeah.
I just enjoyed his vibe. Yeah.
He brought a fun vibe to the movie.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Kiwi.
Yeah, Kiwi Kwan.
like the fruit. So,
yeah. No,
Kiwi
you're
Kwan.
good.
Anyway, I thought he was the most enjoyable to me in the movie.
It was fun seeing his inventions and just the ridiculousness and you would occasionally I at least try to insert logic in some points, like with the teeth shooting out of his little utility belt. There's no way those plastic teeth would have ever held on to the rock. But the way he was just constantly shouting and would come up with these crazy ways and ingenious ways, even from his fun introduction. I'm like, he's a fun little kid, and you can tell he's a child of an immigrant. He's trying to incorporate a lot of Western ideas into the way he is talking and trying to engage. Data is the name of a Star Trek character. He's trying to invoke James Bond as soon as he's swooping in. It's just, he has a lot of personality. And I think it's great.
Yeah. I don't know who my favorite was or like who annoyed me the least. That's really tough. I feel like they all had their moments. I feel like Mouth was particularly annoying like at the beginning of the movie before they kind of like started going on the adventure and then he kind of like took a back seat.
Yeah, I feel like he didn't feel very prominent through a lot of it.
No, but he was like so annoying at the beginning when
Yeah,
he first
yeah.
showed up.
I went on a journey with Chunk because at first I was like, "Oh, this kid's kind of funny," and then I got very annoyed with him, and then I came back around to thinking he was kind of funny by the end.
Oh, when he trauma dumped on everybody just before his hand was about to get blended up,
Yeah.
hilarious. He had one of my favorite lines in the movie after he escapes from the house where he says, "I love the dark, but I hate nature." And I'm like, same kid, same. Just great facial acting, very funny. I was actually going to say Chunk, weirdly enough, as the one who annoyed me the least. Because Mikey was being a little bit of a tryhard, but he did give some great motivational speeches. Mouth was, like you kind of hinted at there, so annoying at the beginning and so hard to kind of come back from that. It's a tie between Chunk and Data.
Yeah, I agree. I went on a journey with Chunk. I think I came out the end liking him, but he did certainly have some very annoying moments, as they all did.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
be real.
Yeah.
It's kids. What do you expect?
I didn't think, if we're just going to kind of keep talking about the kids here for a minute, I didn't think Sean Astin was great in this.
No, but I
Like-
also feel like his character kind of sucked.
Yeah. I mean, like, he has that, like, one of the lines I knew from this going in was that Goonies never say die. And it's part of a speech that's not that well delivered, like, at all. But I do like the inhaler at the end of it, though. But I was like, this is not, like, for being such an iconic line from the movie, I would have expected the whole speech to be better.
And it is, yeah, I feel like we've talked about that before, where these like iconic lines, that's it? Like,
Yes,
why did
yeah.
that become a thing? I made a joke because when he says Goonies never say die, I'm like, that girl didn't even say die, she said dead. And I, which, I mean, I get it, like kind of the same thing, but I was like,
The form
she
of the
didn't
word.
say die.
I will say
Literally.
he did have one of the funniest moments. We picked this up in the subtitles as we were watching it, but he's talking with Brand, aka Josh Brolin, and he calls him Josh at one point.
He did. And I was going to look up and see if that was his character's name. It wasn't, though?
No, his name is Brandon.
Oh, that's why they call him Brand. Okay.
Yeah.
I just thought Brand was a nickname, and I was like, maybe his real name is Josh.
Well, his real name is
His
Josh.
real name
I
is Josh.
I know his real name is Josh. That is funny. Yeah. Okay. So we did catch that because I was like, is that his name, or did he just call him Josh on accident? And they
I did
like,
not catch that.
Jeff, do you remember the context, like when it was, what part of the movie it was?
I believe they were down in the basement, and he was trying to convince them to go down the fireplace. And they pull each other to the side, and they're trying to talk about what to do. And Data's about to go print out some money for some counterfeiting, and there was an exchange, and I believe that was when it was said.
Interesting. That doesn't seem like a scene that would be hard to just do again, but I wonder if no one caught it or if they were just like, we're going with it.
Well, what was funny about this movie too is that, and this is just me turning on my cinema brain, and I was gonna wait to talk about this, but I'll talk about it now. That I almost think they maybe kept that in intentionally or didn't mind it, because there are a lot of callbacks to other like movie references in this that either Steven Spielberg, Chris Columbus, or Richard Donner have had their hands on at some point. Number one, when Chunk is on the phone with the sheriff's office, sorry, Lawrence is on the phone with the sheriff's office, and he talked about, and he's trying to convince the sheriff that what he's going through is real. And the sheriff says, "Oh, is this just like that story about the creature that you pour water on it and it multiplies?" And I'm like, "Oh, Gremlins, written by Chris Columbus, or one of the characters is wearing Jaws socks, and which, as we know, directed by Steven Spielberg. And then Sloth at the end of the movie is wearing a Superman shirt, Superman directed by Richard Donner, with the theme music playing and everything. So I almost think they kept that in as like, you know what? We were already doing a lot of sort of inside jokes and inside references with this. Why not? Let's keep it.
And that kind of stuff does happen. Like you know, there's other examples of that stuff happening. I don't. What if it was intentional, maybe, or if it wasn't? Like, I do feel like sometimes it's one of those things where like you just, you know, everybody misses it when they're checking editing. You know, it's easy to do. Like when I make the program for the musicals I direct, like I check it like a gazillion times. Then as soon as it prints, I'm like, oh, there's a mistake. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, I guess it's probably hard to catch too when you're actually saying someone's real name,
right?
You
And
know?
when you know them as that name too.
Yeah, think
it's
about
like
it.
doing a brain trick on you.
I feel like we need to talk about the fact that this movie is rated PG, and also the fact that this is a kids movie.
Was this before PG-13 or after?
This technically would have been after, because the first notable one was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which is 1984.
Yeah. I don't know. They don't make kids movies like they used to, guys.
No, they do not.
A PG kids movie now is
I mean,
a little bit different.
I was just like, we open up the movie to someone having quote unquote hung themselves, which even if they didn't really hang themselves, like it's still something no one would dare to show in a children's movie these days. The kids are swearing a ton at the beginning. Mm-hmm. There's a close up of David's private area.
Oh yeah.
And when they're like trying to glue it back on, they're like, "Oh, look at what came off." I literally like put in here, what is the rating on this movie? Because I'm like, I cannot believe I'm watching a kids movie right now.
Because Moana is PG.
Yeah, that's literally insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This would absolutely be PG-13, no question, if it was made today.
For sure.
Kids these days couldn't handle it.
I wonder what a kid today watching for the first time thinks of it. Because it's definitely like, even though we're a little younger than these kids in this movie, we're still mostly 80s and 90s kids. You know, Geoff is more of a 90s, late 90s kid. But we're of that same. I feel like 80s and 90s, there's a lot of overlap in culturally. I wonder, like a 10-year-old watching this for the first time, what would their feelings be on it? Would it seem really dated, or would they be into it the way so many kids our age were?
I mean, I don't know that there's necessarily a ton in this movie that would date it. I'm like trying
there's not like a ton of important cultural references or anything. I'm just wondering if like the feel and tone of it feels dated.
I mean, it would probably feel very different from how kids experience life and friendships these days.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there'd be a bit about smartphones.
I mean, kids are just watching Five Nights at Freddy's now, so.
or Minecraft movie, or they'd be spending time on smartphones. They'd be trying to figure out what's going on. They'd probably be asking a lot of questions about that. Why can't we just Google it? Why can't we just look it up, or what have you? And then you'd have to go through like, oh, back in these days, you didn't know about this or that. There wasn't GPS. There wasn't whatever. So there would have to be potentially a lot of explanations going on, unless there was just this inherent knowledge that 40 years ago, these technologies that are around today didn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have faith, though, that the future generations watching this movie would understand that. I have faith. Maybe too much faith. I don't know.
We got to bring a Gen Z consultant on here.
Yeah. I was about to say, I'm Zillennial, I think, technically, but maybe. Like, I'm borderline. 92 is like borderline Zillennial. It's close.
It's the cutoff, isn't it?
Gen Z is 1997 to 2012.
I said Zillennial. I said that middle, the transitional generation, or the
okay. I think
speak to both.
That's made up.
I swear it's a thing. Gen Z, no,
You're
Gen Z
trying to
is
make yourself feel younger, Geoff. You're
Gen
not.
Z is definitely 1997. No disagreements there. I'm saying I'm weird. There's like a weird generation that falls in between millennial and Gen Z.
No, there's
There's
not. Then it's fake. There's
definitely
no
not fake.
there's no in between generations. You can say like you're an elder millennial, right? To like indicate that you're on like the, older side of the millennial spectrum.
Whatever.
I believe it's a term, but I don't accept it as a term.
All right, fair enough. We'll go with that. Just don't accept it. That's
So,
fine.
because it reminds me of the term flexitarian.
You know how I feel about that, Ben.
I know.
Well,
I'm like,
here's
not everybody needs to have a label. You could just be a person who eats meat sometimes. You don't need a name for yourself.
well,
You could just be a young millennial. You don't need a name for yourself.
here's the thing. According to dictionary.com, a zillennial is a person born between the early 1990s and late 1990s, especially in the United States. A member of the micro generation between millennials and Gen Z. So
now we got
Just-
micro generations. Everybody wants a trophy.
Right?
Oh
my gosh. Okay, back to the movie. So
As an elder millennial, I want my own name. Can I be? I got maybe there's a mix between Gen X and millennial, Xennial.
Exennial.
I don't know about that, you guys.
Amanda over here, the true just millennial period over here, just being like, what's going on?
I mean, I'm on, what were the dates again, Ben?
For
For
what?
millennial.
Millennial, I believe.
Millennials 82 or 80.
82, 84. Okay, so I mean,
No, it's not. It's 81 to 96.
Okay.
81 to 96. All right, so I'm pretty close to just being smack dab in the middle of that.
You are smack dab in the middle of that.
So, I
All
am a
right.
true millennial.
You're a true millennial. Gen Alpha.
But these
is not
kids are all Gen X.
Yeah.
To turn back to the movie here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, but back to the movie. You brought up the intro credits, and one thing I did want to talk about were the intro credits to this movie and how much I loved them. I loved the way they were executed. Not only do we have the fun little chase sequence there, which that is just ridiculous. The whole breaking out of jail thing is just would never work. Even in a small town. Would just never work.
Yeah.
But you get all of our major characters introduced at some point within those main credits. You get, or those opening credits, you basically have an inside perspective into all of their personalities, all in those scenes. They're all engaged with our sort of central conflict there right off the bat. I love the way it was executed. I thought it was super creative and very fun. I was a big fan of especially how the movie started.
Yeah, it was fun to see the little snippets as you were going through. Oh, where's this going?
And yet,
Another thing I liked too, I would note, was the score.
yes,
I thought that was good at building tension, good at, I almost didn't even need some of the needle drops they had at places, but I really liked the score.
very good music. Definitely looked up to think. My brain immediately went to John Williams because of the Spielberg connection, but it wasn't. I forget who it was exactly, but yeah, I
just saw the name.
I very much enjoyed the music.
Dave Grusin.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those ones that like at the end I was like even though, I didn't like vibe the most with the movie, it still made me feel like that nostalgia feeling for like older movies,
For
because I
sure.
was like, oh, just like the kind of the little bit of the graininess and the lighting, the way it was filmed, the score. I was like, oh, just all of it feels like a warm hug of an older classic movie.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this whole era, especially this sort of dive that we've done these last few weeks into this world, where we did Pretty Woman last week, we did Twister the week before that. Now we've got this. Just a fun little time capsule of a period, and then something, big and fun next week as well, at least for me, in my opinion. But I've loved exploring this period of time, especially giving it a re-examination as an adult and vibing still with it. I'd be curious to see the effects that maybe movies for Gen Z, for example, that came out in the late 90s or early 2000s, or maybe even the early 90s for them, kind of in that time period, like, do they still vibe with it when they're full-blown adults? So it'll be very, very interesting to see. But yeah, I've enjoyed this trip.
Geoff, this might be kind of previewing our top four a little bit, and I'm not trying to do that, but one of the things I think I'm curious your take on this as a former boy, meaning you're a man now, not trying to say anything else here. As a man who was once a boy, do you feel like the vibe of the characters with each other like makes you think of childhood? Because I think that's one of the reasons I have trouble with movies like this, or a TV show like Stranger Things, or even to some degree something like The Sandlot, which I did like more than this, is like it's not very emblematic of what my childhood was like. And that's because I was like a weird nerd who was, watching Nick at Night and making TV schedules and not off on adventures. I was never like the kid who went off on his bike with his friends for hours at a time. That was never like my childhood. Not so much that like my parents were against it or that I was living like a life that wouldn't allow for it. It was just like not my vibe. And so I'm curious, does the vibe of this movie speak to you at that age?
So Ben, that is a really great question, because as you were describing your childhood experience, it's very similar to mine. I didn't go off on a ton of adventures with friends. I didn't do anything crazy like explore or ride off in hours of the night. I think my parents were a little hesitant to do that, given the fact I lived in the city of Buffalo, and they were like, I don't know how I feel about this. We're gonna keep you inside late at night, or you're only gonna stay with like trusted friends. So I agree that them actually going through with stuff was did not represent my childhood, but the way everybody acted together was exactly like that. Just a collective one brain cell amongst 4 or 5 people, and just yelling over each other, doing ridiculous things. Now, for me, in terms of the activities we love to do, yes, they were all very much indoors or doing like very rotational sort of things. But yeah, the aspect of the camaraderie element it matched my childhood like almost to a T.
So vibes wise, it was definitely the same.
Yes.
Even if the actual
yes,
activities.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because like for me, I never had like a large group that I like palled around with until I got into like middle school and high school, or especially high school. But as like elementary school, upper elementary, like that age of the kids in the film here, I pretty much had like one friend I hung out with outside of school. And then I had other friends in school, So that whole like kind of loud, boisterous group of boys was not like my experience.
Yeah, I never had one core group of friends. I was the kid in high school and even in middle school where I had a ton of acquaintances, but not a ton of very close friends. I kind of jumped between various social circles.
Yeah.
So it was all, but when I was hanging out with people in those various circles, we were all kind of collectively acting the same way that the Goonies would do in this movie. I was also not a very mature kid growing up, so who knows?
Well, I was not a boy, nor am I a man now. But
a boy.
I feel like this was kind of like my childhood. Thanks for asking.
Okay. Amanda, we'll talk to you when we do the Babysitters Club.
That would not be very representative of my childhood.
I'm sorry. Amanda, I did not mean to leave you out of the conversation.
No, you're good. I'm just being silly. No, it wasn't necessarily with a group of friends, but I had several cousins that lived very close to me. And so with my one friend that I did have that lived on the same street as me, we would often walk to my cousin's house, or my cousins would walk to my house because we weren't that far away from each other, maybe like a 20-minute walk or so. And we would get into shenanigans and ride our bikes around and go do stuff. So I felt like this kind of reminded me of my childhood a little bit. Obviously, we weren't going on like treasure hunts and stuff, but
Nice.
Because there's so much treasure in Dunkirk and Fredonia. But actually, there might be. Who knows?
yeah.
You never know.
Don't talk crap you don't know.
Go ahead, Amanda.
I really want to know what a Goonie is. I feel like they. It must have something to do with where they live, right?
I was gonna say, isn't the neighborhood like, isn't that where the name comes from?
I don't know.
Didn't
I
they
mean,
say
they
that?
keep saying like the Goon Dock, but I'm like, is that the name of where they live? Did they just like
I think
come up
that's the
with
name of
that?
their
Like,
neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It wasn't super clear to me.
Yeah, my understanding was that was the name of their neighborhood. So like, if you were from there, you were a Goonie.
Gotcha. I feel like that's kind of disappointing. Like that like the Goonies is just like the name of their neighborhood. I don't know.
Right.
I always thought that I just assumed that was like a name they came up with for themselves for like their little group of friends, and I don't know. So it's a little disappointing that it's just their neighborhood.
They were also like 12 and 13-year-olds. There wasn't a lot of creativity going on there, so who knows?
Yeah.
First
I
thing
guess
they could
that's fair.
think of, and it sounded cool. Yeah, it just sounded cool. So, yeah.
Geoff, you alluded to this at the very beginning when you were giving your rating, but we haven't really talked about the villains at all in this discussion here.
We have it.
So I didn't know if you had thoughts you wanted to share on them.
No, I think that they're great kids' movie villains in the sense that a lot is communicated from a visual and audio perspective with them. Yes, we don't have the clearest of motivations, but they're menacing figures who are greedy, who are willing to do whatever they can to get out of jail or move themselves forward in a certain situation. But they also are farcical, and they're getting into hijinks and stuff the way that adult quote-unquote villains wouldn't normally do that. There's no way. They would be far more reasonable jumping and navigating through those tunnels or trying to do what they do on the pirate ship. They wouldn't let those sort of the jealousy or animosity towards each other from like a sibling perspective. They wouldn't let that affect them. But I think for a kids movie, I think they do a pretty good job of portraying themselves in a menacing enough way while also being like doofy and silly to give the Goonies a chance to live. And maybe this is, again, the nostalgia part of my brain talking, but I like them. That's all.
I think they're a little odd. I mean, I do think it fits for, like this kind of kids movie for sure in the way that they're goofy. And yet also let's bring it back to the fact that this is a PG movie and they were going to stick a kid's fingers in a blender, which is horrifying.
It was the 80s, Amanda. Be cool.
Wild.
I'm just saying, like, they did some things that were actually terrifying. And but in most ways, they were just kind of buffoons, like most kid villains are.
There was an element of them that reminded me of the Home Alone villains, although I like the
Very
Home Alone
much so.
villains more, but
Yeah, for sure. Also, like, I'm just going to take a second here to talk about Sloth because just what a bizarre part of this story. That they have like a mutant, giant, deformed like brother who they chain up and then saves the day. I don't know. It's only the 80s, man. Like, you could only come
The
up with
80s,
this stuff
man.
back then.
it's kind of shocking we never got like a prequel on this family.
Right?
Yeah, right.
No backstory. No
Now there'd be
nothing.
like a limited like Hulu series about them.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah, and that limited series on Hulu would be a lot darker than this
Yeah.
movie even
Yeah.
was, too.
Yeah, it would have like a real like sinister of how they became who they are.
1,000%. Try to DH
Well-
Joe Pantoliano at all in some ways in the beginning, and then have it be done through flashbacks, and it'd be weird.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if they were trying to insinuate that Sloth was the way that he was because his mom dropped him a couple times, like she said on the boat. But I'm like, I just don't believe that this woman gave birth to Sloth. I can't believe it.
Insane.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't know who the dad is. So who
don't
That
knows?
would also be solved
Dad,
in the limited series.
Dad would have seen Sloth drop twice and be like, I'm out.
I don't know. What were your guys' thoughts on Sloth?
My note was, how problematic is Sloth in 2026? As a concept and as a
Yeah.
character. Because I don't know.
I agree with you, Amanda, about the weirdness of it, and I felt like, for me, that's kind of what took them from being just like Home Alone style buffoons to being like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Some weird motivations.
I enjoyed his interactions with Chunk, and I feel like he was featured an appropriate amount.
Yes.
I think any more would have been way too much. But like the small amount with him and Chunk when they were in the cell, and then they just disappear for a long time.
Yeah, they did not overdo it. That's for sure. I agree
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, so that was good. And I mean, I literally died laughing at the end when Chunk was like, "You're gonna live with me now." Because I love you. I love you. I'll take good care of you.
Meanwhile, this is like a 40-year-old man.
Oh, I thought that was so funny.
Incredible. Hey, you guys.
Yes, finally got to see that
Yes.
iconic line,
Yes.
which I didn't really know it was an iconic line, but Regal Cinemas used to have a preview before their trailers, and it was very annoying. But it was basically like people going into a theater and then, having the theater concessions interaction, going in, finding their seats, whatever. But everybody only talked in movie quotes, and that's what made it like very annoying. And there was literally one guy who, like, when he showed up and his friends were there in the seats, he'd be like, "Hey, you guys." And I was like, what is that from? And now I know. It's from
Yep.
Goonies.
Now you know.
Yeah.
Which did it better, the Goonies or the commercial?
Definitely the Goonies.
Had to make sure.
I feel like that's something I've even said, though, like without knowing what it was from.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Also, one last thing on my end. Well, I'll say two last things. I was actually shocked that Mouth knew Spanish, and it seemed legit. At first, I was like, oh, these are just bits that he picked up from like watching commercials and stuff. But no, he can actually read Spanish. Pretty impressive.
Very
No-
shocking for a boy
No
his
hint
age.
at no hint at a backstory, no nothing. He just knows Spanish. You know what I say to that? Good for you. And then also tying into a 2020s problem. One rich person buying up a ton of land for their purposes.
Yeah.
So
country
still
club.
remains relevant 40 years later.
Developers be developing.
Developers be developing.
I was like, what are they going to do? Build a data center?
Maybe in the sequel.
And then I
Oh,
think it was
gosh.
just a couple minutes after that that they said it was going to be a country club. And I was like, oh, okay, well, close enough, I guess.
That's the 80s version of a data center.
I mean, their country club, from when they showed all the water pipes and stuff like imploding, their country club did not look like it was in very good shape. So I guess I understand they need to build a new one.
Those poor pipes.
These poor rich people from this community.
So sad.
So sad.
Shout out to the dude on the toilet who gets shot up like a rocket while reading Guns and Ammo magazine.
That also felt very 2026.
Very 2026.
All right. Ben, do you have any other final thoughts?
Nope.
Cool. All right, Ben, let's hear our TV recommendations for this week.
All right. Just two brief ones. One is Stranger Things, which I believe I recommended with another movie a while back, but it's very clear that Stranger Things was inspired by many of these 80s adventure movies. This being, I think, one of the, like, if you were to like slice up a pie of what is Stranger Things, like taking its inspiration from, this is maybe got the biggest chunk of it. I don't know. It definitely has that vibe for sure of those 80s kids up to no good, kind of on an adventure kind of thing. Not up to no good. That's not really the right terminology, but getting themselves involved in difficult situations. Let me say it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an obvious pick. But then when I was kind of looking up some things, this is not a show I've watched, but it was recommended in multiple places as something similar to the Goonies, which is the show Outer Banks on Netflix, which I've never watched. It's a teen drama, but the premise is the conflict between two groups of teenagers in the Outer Banks of North Carolina in search of a lost treasure. So I think the kids are a little bit older on the Outer Banks from the pictures I was seeing, and it's a lot more kind of teen, YA, that kind of drama. But the treasure part of it had a lot of people comparing it to the Goonies. And the final season is premiering very soon. The fifth and final season premieres August 20th.
All right.
Nice.
So
Geoff?
I can't vouch for it, but
Okay.
I can't either. Sorry, everybody.
Nope.
it's one of those things like Netflix ran for five seasons, and I've never, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like completely passed me by.
I mean, someone must be watching it.
Oh, yeah.
Geoff, what are our movie recommendations?
Okay, so I'm going to start with a related movie to one that we've covered in the past, but it's going to be Indiana Jones, but specifically Indiana Jones 2 and 3. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Temple of Doom because Kiwi Kwan is also featured in that movie. So as right before the Goonies, so he had this connection to Spielberg right off the bat. And then 3, The Last Crusade, because the ending sequence of that movie is very similar to the end sequence in this movie. Because in that one, Indiana Jones is trying to find the Holy Grail. And the final little bit of that movie, he is going through a tunnel of puzzles, if you will. So very, very reminiscent of that within this movie. The second bit I'll recommend is National Treasure. We talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but great movie. I'll even throw the second one in there too, The Book of Secrets, because of the end sort of sequence in that movie as well, and them having to go through like a cave and everything. And then lastly, it was hard to find an adventure movie from the 2020s that was not animated. Because when I tried to look for like a family style adventure movie from the 2020s, they were just animated movies. And I wanted to find something more live action. So when it comes to a live action perspective, we got to grow up a little bit. And we got to escape the kid sphere, if you will. And I'm going to recommend a movie called The Lost City, which stars Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum and Daniel Radcliffe and Academy Award winner Da'Vine Joy Randolph and Brad Pitt. And Sandra Bullock plays a fantasy writer, and Channing Tatum plays a cover model for books. And they end up getting into some hijinks where they're trying to find some treasure because a rich, evil man thinks that Sandra Bullock, through her writing and her research, is the key to finding a treasure. So it's full of hijinks, full of silliness, but very adult themed. So those would be my recommendations to pair with the Goonies.
Cool. Thank you.
I have never heard of that movie for that many big names in it.
Yeah, it came out a couple years ago.
I was about to say
So it's pretty
2022, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
One of those
feel like
those ones that kind of got lost in like the COVID era little bit. Like people were back in the theaters already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty all right from what I remember.
It was okay.
Good time for what it was. Yeah. All right, so let's move into our top 4. Like I mentioned at the start, today we're doing the top 4 things that we like to do with our friends when we were kids and or teenagers. Obviously, to pay homage to what these kids that we watched like to do. So, Geoff, why don't you go first?
Okay. I think if I had gotten into an adventure like the Goonies got into in this movie, I probably would have died. So, would not have gone well for me whatsoever. I don't have any honorable mentions because, like we hinted at here a little bit at the beginning of this movie, I wasn't one for a ton of adventures or going off or doing anything like that late at night, especially. So, my list is very limited. And it's a lot of indoors. Well, some indoor stuff, some outdoor stuff, but some fun was had. So, number 4 is very specifically when I was a teenager, and that was tailgating football games. Those Saturdays in the fall when we would all kind of get together and hang out. That was probably the most hanging out I would do with a lot of my classmates outside of the sort of organized school activities. Were going to sporting events, but especially the football games. Where my high school was, there was like a little park right nearby that we could all walk to after, getting to some hijinks and whatever before the game. So super fun, have some great memories from doing that all the way from freshman year to senior year. Number 3 is playing card games, specifically Yu-Gi-Oh! We used to collect cards. All of our friends would get together and we would all play. Now, I didn't spend a ton of money on cards, so I didn't have the same level of cards that a lot of my friends did. So I would get my butt kicked a few times, but it was just fun to still like play and do all kinds of fun stuff with them. So that was always fun. Number 2 is specifically baseball. I was trying to think of a sport. I wasn't sure if it was basketball, but no, I would pick baseball. I was in Little League growing up, and sometimes I would meet up with people just at our local diamonds. Lived really close to a baseball park with a bunch of fields on it. And so we would get together and hang out all before games, after games, whatever it might be, just hanging out, watching baseball, having fun, playing baseball. Very Sandlot-esque experience outside of the official Little League stuff. And then number 1 with the bullet was playing video games. Video games, all getting together, whether it be single player games and you'd swap back and forth, or co-op games where you play together, or games like Super Smash Bros. Where you would compete against each other. That was like the activity for me to do, that I would do with my friends, and it was a lot of fun. And I discovered a lot of great games that way, so that would be my number 1 activity that I did as a kid/teenager, as a boy, if you will.
Good list. All right, Ben, let's hear yours.
All right. So I also do not have any honorable mentions. I was trying to stick mainly to summer things and things I did in like elementary through late high school. I don't know. I was mostly kind of trying to think of like in that in between years, like from when we were old enough to hang out without our parents to when we got our driver's license, basically like that range of adolescence and childhood.
Nice.
My number 4, kind of along those lines, was going to Kingdom Bound, which was a Christian music festival held at Darien Lake. I went probably 4 or 5 times in middle school and high school. Primarily, I was thinking of my first and second times there, which were when I was a little bit younger, because that whole idea of like being gone for a week with your friends, even though there were chaperones, but I mean, who cares about the chaperones? Was something that was new. I'd been at summer camp, which is a little bit different. That's still very supervised. Obviously I'd been at like my grandparents' house without my parents, but being like with your friends in a theme park, unsupervised, just staying in the theme park was to me like a very seminal adolescent experience, especially because when my crush was there, I got to spend a lot of time, courting, if you will, to no success. Number 3, sort of along the sports lines with Geoff, I have, for me, when I think of summer, I think of summer soccer. There was a pretty robust summer soccer league in our community, and I played for several years, and then I coached for a few years, actually, which might sound surprising because, you don't think of me as a soccer player, but I was very organized even back then. So coaching was, I coached my sister's team and then a few other teams once she got old enough, to not be in the team. I just have very like distinct memories of playing at our local college, all those summer soccer games and those summer nights. And when the fair was there, you could see the fair rides over the kind of as if you looked off in the distance, you saw all the fair rides up, and so you always knew when it was fair week at summer soccer. So just, good memories of that. And then going home and watching Nick at Night's Block Party Summer. All right. And that wasn't, I don't know. I was with friends in the sense of like friends on the team, and I coached with a couple of friends too once I was coaching. Number 2, camping. And specifically, I'm not much of a camper, but my best friend growing up, still best friend, and his sister and I were very good friends. And then my brother and sister would come, and our families would come. And this was another one of those, like, yeah, the parents were there, but that's not what I remember of this experience. We would go to Camp Chautauqua, which is a very kind of throwback camp place that had like a little arcade and a pool, and we just had a lot of fun kind of roaming the campgrounds there when we were adolescents. Number 1 for me by far is the summer drama program, which was our rec league or rec department had a summer drama program where we would put on a play at the end of every summer. And of course, as a little theater nerd, that was my favorite thing to do in the summer, partly because of doing the play and the theater experience. And then I also have very distinct memories because we would hold it at the Opera House that was downtown, and then we would go from there right after every summer drama on, I think it was like 2 or 3 days a week. We'd go from there to the convenience store, and we'd all get slushies, and we'd all get candy, and we'd all hang out outside until they told us we had to like leave the stoop outside. So that was to me like the closest thing to what these kids got into in this movie was just a bunch of kids just being loud and crazy, and the adults kind of getting frustrated with us. It was sort of happening at the drama rehearsals, but definitely happening afterwards at the convenience store. So there we go.
Nice. Good list. For my list, I do not have any honorable mentions. So my number 4, like I mentioned earlier, going to my cousin's house was like a big thing that I did almost every day in the summer, especially when I was in like late elementary school, early middle school, but probably more on the elementary school side, which I think about that and I'm like, that's kind of crazy. My parents just like let me walk over there. But I mean, whatever. We also don't live in a super crazy place. So out in the middle of, not in the middle of nowhere, but you know what I'm saying. So anyways, I always loved going over to their house. So that's just my number 4 in general. We would either go to the school that was right down the street and play on the playground, which was like the best playground, and it doesn't exist anymore. It makes me really sad. Or they would always be watching like The Simpsons, which I wasn't allowed to watch at home. So I loved watching it there. And we played a lot of card games. I remember like playing War a lot. And then we also loved, just right on the same block as them, there used to be a corner store. And we would go down there and buy like candy cigarettes or, just like whatever little thing. And that just the best. My number 3 is playing on the trampoline. My parents caved and bought a trampoline at some point when I was a kid. And that thing was freaking awesome. We had it for so many years, but I just always, whether it was my cousins or like groups of friends that came over, we would hang out on the trampoline for hours, whether we were actually jumping or not. It was just always so fun to hang out and, jump until you couldn't jump anymore, try to popcorn people, whatever, and then just hang out on the trampoline itself. What was not fun was having to move it when my dad had to mow underneath it. He'd always be like, Amanda, you have to help me move the trampoline. We did have the safety net, so no one ever flew off, thankfully. My number 2 is like riding bikes / just like going around town. And this was more when I was like in middle school, but me and my friends absolutely in the summer rode our bikes everywhere. We would ride down to the lake. We would ride just everywhere around town. I still can't believe I like rode the bike like that much at one point in my life. Because I think about that now. I'm like, oh, I would not want to ride a bike from like where my parents' house is, like all the way down to the lake. I'm like, oh, that seems so far. But, that was just another day. We'd like go down to, like School 7, and then we'd be down at the pier, and then, or not the pier, the point, and, everywhere in between. But we were always just riding around, causing shenanigans, being little hooligans on our bikes, as a typical, middle school gang of kids would be. And then my number one by far is making home videos.
Yes.
When my parents bought a camcorder, like, it was game over. There's so many, from making, my cousins and a couple friends and I did we made our own TV channel. So we did like Home Shopping Network. We did the Smoking Channel, where my cousin would teach you how to blow smoke rings because his dad knew how to do that. We would do like talk shows. At one point we had our own like Steve Irwin thing where we would chase the cat around the house and talk like Steve Irwin, to like making our own film about Pokemon and just, everything in between. And that lasted for quite a while. Even my friends, when I was in middle school, I have many videotapes of filming friends with boyfriends, and we made like a revenge. They broke up, like
Burn book.
Yeah, like a whole thing, So that is by far one of my fondest memories of growing up.
I remember Amanda showing me these videos before, and they're incredible.
And you stayed together.
I stayed somehow.
I had two thoughts. I almost put that on my list because my friend and I and his sister that I was referring to earlier, the three of us would do what we called variety hours. And sometimes we would have guests, and they would be like SNL style skits that we would plot out and then do them. And the only reason I didn't put it was I didn't like associate that with summer as much.
Yeah.
But those videos exist for sure. Still. And the other thing I was gonna say was I had a friend who had a trampoline, and same thing.
Oh yeah. Like whoever has a trampoline, that or like a pool.
Yeah.
Granted, where we live, not many people have pools, but
Yeah.
Yeah, we leaned more into Whose Line Is It Anyway rather than SNL, but
Okay. Yeah, ours were more plotted out, but
well, that brings us to the end of the Goonies. If you'd like to watch along with us next week, we will be watching Wayne's World. Party time! Excellent! So be sure to watch along or just tune in to hear our thoughts. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a rating or review, and be sure to follow us on all our social channels. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see y'all next week.
To infinity and beyond!
Why so serious?
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy! Keep the change, you filthy animal.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.